From above, this lake looks perfect. The water is calm, clear, almost completely still. There are no waves, no warning signs. But beneath that silent surface, the water drops nearly 600 meters into darkness. At a certain depth, light no longer follows. Colors disappear. The temperature shifts. The pressure increases with every meter. And if someone descends too far and makes one small mistake, no one will hear them ask for help. Welcome to Lake Matano, the deepest lake in Southeast Asia. Lake Matano sits quietly in South Sulawesi, Indonesia. At first glance, it feels untouched, ancient. Surrounded by green hills and still air, the surface reflects the sky like glass. It does not look dangerous, but this lake is older than most landscapes around it. Formed millions of years ago, it is part of an ancient lake system known as the Malili Lakes, and it holds a depth of nearly 590 meters. That makes it the deepest lake in Southeast Asia and one of the deepest lakes on Earth. Unlike many lakes that slope gradually toward the center, Matano drops sharply. Just a short distance from the shoreline, the ground beneath the water begins to fall away. For divers, this kind of underwater topography can be deceptive. What looks shallow from above can suddenly become a vertical descent into open water. As depth increases, conditions change rapidly. The upper layers of the lake are warm and oxygen-rich, but further down, a thermocline creates a sudden shift in temperature. Cold water replaces warmth. Visibility narrows. The environment becomes unfamiliar. Below certain depths, oxygen levels decrease, and beneath that lies a layer of water that has remained undisturbed for centuries. Still, heavy, dark. Lake Matano does not advertise its danger. It does not roar. It does not crash. It simply waits, deep, quiet, and indifferent. That morning, the water looked calm. No waves, no visible danger. I began to descend slowly. At 5 meters, everything felt normal. Sunlight still filtered clearly through the surface. Small fish moved without urgency. At 10 meters, the colors began to change. Red faded first. Orange turned dull. By 20 meters, the sounds from above were gone. All that remained was the sound of my own breathing. In, out. At this depth, the lake still appeared peaceful, but the bottom was no longer clearly visible. A few meters farther down, the gentle slope shifted into a steeper drop. At 30 meters, the temperature changed suddenly. The thermocline cut through the water like an invisible boundary. Warmth was replaced with cold. The body adjusts. The mind does not always respond as quickly. As I continued downward, the blue grew darker, thicker. At a certain point, there was no longer a sense of distance, no visible floor, no clear outline of the surface. Only a column of water descending into space. Each meter added pressure, each second increased the risk, and at depths like this, a small mistake does not always offer a second chance. Above, Lake Matano remained perfectly still, as if unaware that beneath its surface, gravity and depth quietly pull everything toward the dark. The deeper a person descends, the danger does not always become visible. At depths of around 30 to 40 meters, water pressure has already increased dramatically. For every 10 meters, pressure increases by 1 atmosphere. That means the body is constantly being compressed by a force that cannot be seen. The lungs work harder. Air consumption rises faster than most divers realize, but pressure is not the only concern. At certain depths, the nitrogen inside the breathing gas begins to affect the brain. This condition is known as nitrogen narcosis. Its effects are not immediately frightening. In fact, they can feel subtle. A diver may feel unusually calm, light euphoria, slower judgment. Small decisions can feel correct, even when they are not. In a lake like Matano, where the terrain drops sharply into open water, losing orientation becomes more likely. There are no coral reefs, no large underwater structures for reference. only an empty column of water. In low light and colder temperatures, disorientation can arrive quietly. Up and down begin to feel the same. The surface becomes difficult to identify. Depth becomes harder to judge. Below certain layers of the lake, natural oxygen levels in the water are extremely low. If something goes wrong and a diver loses direction or air supply, time becomes limited. The lake does not thrash. It does not issue loud warnings. It simply provides the conditions where a small mistake can evolve into something irreversible. And at that depth, there is no room for panic. Because panic under pressure is not just dangerous, it can be fatal. Most recreational divers never go beyond 40 meters. That limit exists for a reason. Below that depth, the risks increase sharply. But Lake Matano is far deeper than 40 meters. It drops nearly 600 meters into the earth, and the question is not whether someone can descend further. The question is, what it would cost if they tried. The deeper a diver goes, the faster their air supply is consumed. Pressure forces the body to work harder. Every breath becomes heavier, more expensive. At greater depths, the mind can begin to change. Simple decisions feel reasonable, even when they are not. To descend beyond safe limits, a diver requires specialized training, additional equipment, and extremely precise planning. Because returning to the surface cannot be done carelessly, if a diver ascends too quickly, gas bubbles can form inside the body, in the bloodstream, in the joints, in vital organs, and that can lead to severe injury or death. In open ocean environments, there are often currents, there are reefs, there are visual reference points. But in a lake that drops steeply like Matano, a diver can find themselves suspended above empty space. No visible bottom, no clear boundary. If something goes wrong, nothing pushes them upward. Only depth, silent and indifferent, pulling steadily downward. And in a place like this, a small mistake does not always offer a second chance. Lake Matano still appears calm. Each morning, its surface reflects the sky. Each evening, it mirrors warm sunlight without disturbance. Nothing seems to change above, but depth does not behave like the surface. The deeper someone descends, the clearer it becomes that this lake was never meant to be fully understood. It is too old, too deep, too quiet. Below the final layer of light, there is no color, no direction, no sound beyond a heartbeat and the rhythm of breathing. And in a place like that, humans are not in control. We are visitors. Pressure does not care about experience. Depth does not care about confidence. Time does not care about courage. One delayed decision, one miscalculation, one moment of panic. That is enough. The lake is not trying to harm anyone. It simply exists within the laws of nature that cannot be negotiated. Beautiful above, but never truly tame. And perhaps that is what makes it so compelling. Not because it is loud, but because it reminds us that there are places in this world far deeper than our ability to master them. This is Lake Matano, and this is only a fraction of what lies beneath its surface. If you want to explore more stories about depths rarely discussed, continue the journey with us on Water Ends. Because sometimes what fascinates us the most ends where the water begins to disappear into darkness.